providing the resources for additional programming, much-needed equipment, support for children's summer's reading, and special events throughout the year. And whereas the Friends' gift of their time and commitment to the library sets an example for all in how volunteerism leads to the positive civic engagement and the betterment of our community. Now, therefore, I, Robert Morgan, Mayor of the City of Beatrice, Nebraska, do hereby proclaim October 15th through the 21st, 2023, as Friends of the Library Week in the City of Beatrice, and urge everyone to thank the Friends of the Library for all they do to make our library and community so much better. With this my hand and the official seal of the City of Beatrice, the 16th day of October, 2023.
You can't avoid this, all right. Okay.
You want to think about it?
Okay, we have second item on the agenda is the consent agenda. All items under the consent agenda are considered to be routine by the City Council and will be enacted by one motion. There'll be no separate discussion of these items unless a council member so requests. Item A, approve agenda as submitted. Item B, receive and place on file all notices pertaining to the meeting. C, receive and place on file all materials having a bearing on this meeting. D, approval of minutes of regular meeting October 2nd, 2023, as on file in the city clerk's office. Item E, approval of the treasurer's report of claims in the amount of $663,801.55. Item F, approval of Boswell report of claims in the amount of $70,433.82. Approval of write-off of ambulance bad debts. H, approval of pay request number 11 in the amount of $80,313.80. Electric, water, and sewer to 3FI Incorporated for the June 2022 hailstorm as recommended by the Board of Public Works. Approval of change order number 2, decrease in the amount of $43,568.33, and final pay request number 5 in the amount of $257,901.20 to Judd Brothers Construction Company for the water transmission line project as part of the 2021 water SRF projects as recommended by the Board of Public Works. Item J, approval of final pay request to Lamel Plumbing in the amount of $1,947.50 for lift station number 6 improvements, grinder manhole project 2023 as recommended by the Board of Public Works. Item K, approval of pay request number 6 to Myers Construction Incorporated in the amount of $369,392.15 for the water main replacement project as part of the 2021 water SRF project as recommended by the Board of Public Works. Item L, approval of pay request number 12 in the amount of $4,241.60 to 3FI Incorporated for the June 2022 hailstorm. Item M, resolution number 7142, executing the operator's lease and service agreement with Heinen Brothers Agri Service Incorporated for the purpose of conducting aeronautical services on the Beatrice Municipal Airfield as recommended by the Airport Authority Board. Item N, resolution number 7143, executing the fixed base aerial applicators agreement with Heinen Brothers Agri Service Incorporated for the purpose of conducting aerial applicator or crop spraying services on the Beatrice Municipal Airport's airfield as recommended by the Airport Authority Board. Item O, resolution number 7144, entering into an agreement with Ramsey Smart Dollar for the purpose of providing full-time city employees financial wellness training. Item P, resolution number 7145, entering into the statement of work agreement between the city and Civic Plus LLC for the updating and recodifying of the city's ordinances and supplement. Item Q, resolution number 7146, executing the service order with Clear Grove and any and all other documents necessary for the purpose of purchasing budgeting software for the city. Item R, Resolution Number 7147, reappointing Philip Detbrenner to the Beatrice Airport Advisory Board. Item S, Resolution Number 7148, entering into a farm lease with Greg Delabar for farming purposes. Item T, Resolution Number 7149, for giving 10% or $10,000 of the original principal amount of LB 840 Economic Development Loan to Hybrid Turkeys LLC. Item U, Resolution Number 7150, executing the request for reconveyance and the deed of reconveyance along with all their necessary documents to terminate the deed of trust for the contract of sale of real estate dated March 10th, 2023 between the city and Ross L. Meisner and Brianne Meisner. Resolution Number 7154, executing the request for reconveyance and the deed of reconveyance along with all their necessary documents to terminate the deed of trust for the sanitary sewer improvement loan agreement dated November 20, 2020 between the city and Patrick D. Stevens and Sherry L. Stevens. And item W, Resolution Number 7152, executing the letter agreement extending the Interlocal Cooperation Act agreement between the city and the County of Gage, Nebraska, for the purpose of providing ambulance services in certain areas of Gage County, Nebraska, through to June 30, 2024. Anybody want anything pulled off? Gary first.
I would like M and N, if Tobias could just give us a quick explanation between the two and the amount of the leases.
Okay.
Aye.
Okay. Anybody else? If not, Mr. McLean.
I move the items listed on the consent agenda, with the exception of items I, M, and N, be approved, accepted, and ratified as presented.
Second.
Gentlemen, your vote, please. And that passes 8-0. Okay, let's go with item I first, and we'll go in alphabetical order.
I move that item I be approved, accepted, and ratified as presented.
Second. I apologize. You told me I was going to call you earlier to find out what this decrease was. It was such a large amount. Was it a portion of that job that we didn't get done, or going to do it later? Or?
No, that entire project is completed. This is the water transmission main that is out, that connects the new well field that we just, it connects our existing well field back to the existing water main that we have, a transmission line that's backed by coke, nitrogen, in that area. This particular decrease here is largely due to some unsuitable soils. We thought we'd hit more unsuitable soils than we had, and so that was part of the decrease. Also, we took out the seeding in this particular contract because nature took over and seeded the area for us essentially, and so we did not need the contractor to go back out and reseed the area. And so those two together is what most of this change order is a result of.
Okay, thank you. Like I said, I apologize. I was going to call you earlier and I didn't get to it.
Gentlemen, your vote, please. That passes 8-0.
I move that item M listed on the consent agenda be approved, accepted, and ratified as presented.
Second.
Okay, Gary, your question was what's the difference between the two?
Yeah, and the amounts of each one.
Okay.
All right, let me pull up. So the difference between them is very minute. There's not much of a difference between them. Heinen Brothers is one of your crop dusters that operates out of the airport out there. The FAA requires basically two agreements. We tried to combine them. FAA didn't like that, so we left them currently as separate. We're trying to work with, see if we can make them into one agreement, but they read very similar to each other. And as far as the amount, I got to look it up here. It's like $720, I want to say. Yeah, $720, plus they pay an additional nickel for every gallon of fuel that they use. They don't buy fuel at the airport because they leave their plane continue to be running. And so we don't want that over and fueled up at the site. So they have a fuel tanker on site that they fuel up their plane with, and then they agree to pay the airport back a nickel for every gallon that they use.
I did check with another company on there that flow through, and two other airports. It's pretty standard that nickel flow through.
Your vote, please. Passes 8-0. Okay, last item.
I move that item N listed on the consent agenda be approved, accepted, and ratified as presented.
Second.
Any more discussion needed? Not, your vote, please. And that passes 8-0. Okay, we go into public hearings and bids. We'll open the public hearing for the purpose of receiving the semi-annual report for the Citizens Advisory Review Committee as provided by the Local Option Municipal Economic Development Act, RRS 1943. Public hearing is now open.
So yeah, if you look at your LB 840 information there in front of you, you have about $935,000 in cash as of August 31st. All the loans you see listed there are current. So everything's moving along well there. On the CBG side of things, you see about $95,000 as of August 31st. Remember, those funds are funds that we are using to pay for the trail that went in on East Court Street from 24th out to 26th. And so those loans, or that money, will be used for that particular project. There are no loans outstanding in CBG revolving loan. They've all been paid off, cleaned up, and taken care of. And on the LB 840 side, your bond payment in 2024 will be $185,000.
Discussion. Terry.
Gee, I just have one question. I'm trying to remember what the uncollectible receivables were.
On the financials, let me
Yeah,
pull
it's
it up here.
under, it's under the balance sheet under the Economic Development Fund. I kind of thought we wrote those all off a while back.
On the very bottom of that $127,800.
I'm sorry to hit you with this, man.
Nope, that's fine.
It's under assets.
Yep, so that uncollectible receivable is listed, that is the money that we gave Send to be part of their housing agreement, or that pool that we put together.
Yep.
So that was our buy-in for
Right.
that particular
Yep,
project.
I remember now. Thanks.
Any other discussion from the public? Okay, let's close the hearing.
I move the public hearing be closed at 7:12 PM.
Second.
Your vote, please. Passes 8-0. Okay, we'll move on to resolutions. A, resolution number 7153, executing the sponsorship agreement with Beatrice Community Hospital and Health Center for Hannibal Park.
I move the resolution number 7153 be passed and adopted.
Second.
So again, working with Sportsman Solutions on some naming rights out at the Hannibal Complex, and Beatrice Community Hospital has stepped up to take the naming rights to what is today known as Field 2. It's a $50,000 agreement. They get the naming rights for 10 years. They'll be making their payment in one lump sum up front. So we have the money available to us to continue to make improvements out at that complex.
What does that look like exactly? I mean, or do we, obviously they're gonna put some kind of signage up, but do we set those standards, what those are gonna be? I mean,
Yes.
Okay.
If you read through the agreement, it has in there the sizes and some of that stuff in there. But we are working, to be honest, I put Amanda in charge of it. She's going to make sure all the signs out there look correct and all look very similar to one another. You know, one of the questions we had is we don't kind of color scheme, that kind of stuff. So she's working through all that to make sure everything out there looks well, still has their logos on it, and still looks nice and cohesive on that complex.
okay. Yeah, I read through the agreement and I didn't get that out of it. Don't know whether I skipped that,
Nope.
didn't see it, what, but that was my question, so, thank you.
Any other discussion? Seeing none, your vote, please. Passes 8-0. And we have resolution number 7154, executing the sponsorship agreement with Olson Incorporated for Hannibal Park.
I move the resolution number 7154 be passed and adopted.
Second.
Very similar, but Olson's this time is taking some signage out on a couple of the fields out there. They're going to pay us $1,250 per year for 3 years, and they'll make their payments each year as part of this contract. So obviously, they get less signage than BCH will get for their payment, but they've agreed to participate in this project as well.
Well, that's good. All right, your vote, please. That passes 8-0. Item C, resolution number 7155, executing the sponsorship agreement with Security First Bank for Hannibal Park.
I move the resolution number 7155 be passed and adopted.
Second.
First, if everybody remembers that Pinnacle Bank agreed to be the corporate sponsor for the entire complex, they were nice enough to allow other banks and financial institutions to participate as well. So Security First then stepped up. They're taking the naming rights to what's known as Field 4A. This will be the new field that gets built out there. If you've seen the master plan, they're $52,000. They get 10 years, that naming rights. And again, they're paying all their funds up front as well to ensure that we have the money to continue to make improvements.
So just since I don't remember the total, what is the total we've raised now with this company?
Total we've raised so far is $200,000 from Pinnacle. Then these two, $50,000. That gets you $200,000. I think you're right at about $250,000 committed. And I know of a couple others that will be coming at the next meeting for us.
Okay.
Can I get him to put a sign in my yard? Right, honey, we do that, wouldn't we? Oh, go figure, right?
Kelly's willing to let you do it.
Whatever.
All right. Any more discussion needed? If,
One thing, Toby, is there any way that we can get them to help down on West Scott Street, Ball Diamonds?
Yeah, I think it's not in the works at this time, but I think it's something as this project proceeds, and if you guys like the outcome of what we're seeing here, we certainly can engage them for some additional complexes here in the community.
okay. Gentlemen, your vote, please. And that passes 8-0. Resolution number 7156, extending the completion date for the storm damage repairs from the June 11th, 2022 storm event on 5 city buildings.
I move that resolution number 7156 be passed and adopted.
Second.
So these would be the buildings that were damaged in the June storm of last year. Remember, we have a contract with 3FI to make these improvements. Contract calls for all the work to be done by October 31st of this year. And what we're asking for is an extension on 5 buildings that we have until August 1st of next year. One of those is the fire station. And we've got some ongoing issues down there I think we've talked about in the past, working through some insurance and some warranty issues and some of those things as to how that's going to happen. The electric shop, we want to change the installation out at the electric shop. The options we were giving, one was to give them more time so our guys could do the work during the winter, or hire a contractor to the sum of a couple $100,000, and we thought it made more sense to push back the time on that 3FI had so we could do that work. And then you're down the Carnegie, Boswa, and the auditorium. Quite honestly, probably 2 of the 3 of those will probably be done before October 31st. Some of it just kind of depends on the weather. But since this is our last council meeting before that deadline, we went ahead and included them just to be sure. But I would anticipate at least 2, if not all 3 of those will be done before that deadline.
Okay. Any discussion needed? Gentlemen, your vote, please. Passes 8-0. Resolution number 7157, establishing various fees.
I move the resolution number 7157 be passed and adopted.
Second.
So every year, we try to come back with a fee resolution after we've passed the budget, add anything in there that we may have missed over the last year or things that changed in the budget. This year, we have just a couple of changes. One, we added in the airport fees. Honestly, now that we brought the airport into the city, we've added their fees in there, so you'll see the hangar leases and that kind of stuff listed in there. 2, we are looking to increase the ambulance rates. The Medicare rates, what they allow has increased, so we're looking to increase ours. This will be the first time we've raised ambulance rates since 2018. And then also we added in the UTV registration fees that we talked about when we passed that ordinance here it's been a couple months ago now, kind of waiting to see what happened at the state level. And so again, those are $25 per year for an individual and $50 per year for a dealership on a UTV registration. And that will start January 1 of 2024.
You guys selling those?
Okay. Discussion.
No money in them.
Seeing none, your vote, please. That passes 8-0.
There's money on it.
Move on to item F, resolution number 7158, executing the options to purchase real estate between the city and Radiant Tech LLC for the purchase of Lot 10 and the north 65 feet of Lot 9, Gage County Industrial Park, First Edition, City of Beatrice, Gage County, Nebraska, consisting of 2.5 acres, more or less.
I move that resolution number 7158 be passed and adopted.
Second.
So yeah, this has been an economic development prospect we've been working on for a while. Josh and Brad are here if they'd like to come up and say anything. But what you have before you is an option for them to purchase about 2.5 acres out in the industrial park. This would be southeast of Tiemann's building out there. So the southeast corner of Industrial Row and Centennial Drive, that's where we're looking at. This option's good to the end of March. The option itself is $500, and then the purchase price in the option is for $37,500, or about $15,000 an acre. And I'll let these gentlemen talk about their project and what they're looking to do.
Yeah, we intend to create about 5 jobs and.
You gotta.
Have a seat there.
Gotta.
That way you can
gotta
pick
sit
up the
down,
microphone.
Gotta state your name, give us your address.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, this is Yash, and we're here from New York, and we're looking at that 2.5 acres at the Gage Industrial Park. We intend to create about 5 jobs, about upwards of a couple $1 million in investment up there, and we're looking into enter into a power contract as well later, and we intend to complete the purchase and start the project this year.
Excellent. Questions?
Sound.
See, noise, we talked about this earlier. They indicated they have a similar setup out in New York that's located, didn't sound like it was more than feet away from residential neighborhoods. They've not had an issue with it, but they are aware of that. And
So I voted against, when we talked about this, I was against this because of the sound. Articles that I've read, online things that I've looked at, other states, Iowa, Illinois, Indiana, these things are really loud, or can be. And so my concern was that, simply just that. Welcome to Gage County, welcome to the Beatrice area. Looking forward to you entering into the purchase agreement of electricity. That's a bonus for us as well. But my concern is the sound of it. So obviously you've had this conversation with Tobias, but my question to you is that once you're up and running, if we have complaints from the neighbors, quote unquote, the neighbors, are you going to do anything about it, or are you just going to say we're here?
No, we can kind of rectify it. It's not more than 65 decibels, like 300 feet away from it. Like 65 decibels is what you have on the highway.
Yep.
So it won't be any louder. I mean, the closest housing development is about almost 2,000 feet away near the railroad track, so we don't anticipate any issues. But
Yeah, and I understand the decibel level, but, and as you say, it's railroad tracks or highway, but on the railroad tracks or the highway, that's a passing train. Those are passing cars. This is a constant noise for 24 hours a day, 365 days a year.
Sure. Yeah,
So-
we'll be good neighbors.
Okay.
We'll make sure there's,
I know you're in New York, but I'm going to try to hold you to that. So.
yeah, thank you.
Other questions?
Just, I want to give you the other side of it. The other side of that is we've also read all kinds of articles where they've been able to wipe out almost completely the noise. So I'm just, I have less concern than he does, but I just still have a concern. Can you tell me what you specifically are going to do to eradicate that or get it down to that level you're talking about? What happens out there?
Yeah, usually it's some sound attenuation, like, you build a sort of, it's not in the direct, the source of the sound, the direction it goes in is where it carries. So you gotta make sure it's like not in the direction of where neighborhood is, and like, you keep it away, because, even the neighbors, like at the industrial park, like there's a fair amount of noise, so, there's buildings around, so, that's not gonna carry that far.
Can you also mention about putting up some, if needed, some natural barriers regarding trees that can help assist in the absorption of noise?
Yeah, any kind
I'm
of.
sorry, what was that?
Excuse me. I mentioned that sometimes that you can put up natural barriers like trees to assist in the absorption of the noise as well. So if that would potentially become an issue, we're hoping it would not. We don't think that it will, but there's always that option available too.
Yeah. I've seen all kinds of things. hay bales all around them. So I've seen there all kinds of stuff in different, so you're not concerned with that?
No, we should be able to rectify if anything would ever come up.
Glad you're here.
Yeah,
Next year should be interesting in Bitcoin.
yeah, I'm glad you're here as well, and and the natural barriers is a bonus for me. You want to plant trees, you go right ahead. The thing of it is, this isn't New York. I mean, the sound travels further on heavy air, so the more moisture, the more humid it is, the further sound travels and more quickly. So this isn't there. It's a denser air, it's a more humid air here. So I'm going to hold you to it. So thanks, guys. I appreciate it.
Gary?
I don't see a big issue with the sound. I think it's far enough away, this location in the industrial park, from the residential area, and the people in the industrial park are working inside all the time, so the only time they would be exposed to a little bit of it is coming and going.
Yeah, so one other thing I could say regarding that is, so as we've looked around the country for the right possible locations, we've tried to err towards the side of places that are located in industrial parks, considering that there is always some level of noise there with that. So, obviously we're going to be good neighbors to the extent that we can be and everything like that. But we were actually very excited about that particular site because it happened to be in an industrial park, and there's always some kind of noise going on there and everything. But yeah, it's my 2 cents on that. Thanks.
One last question. I think I know the answer to this, but I'd like to hear it from you. Why did you decide to come to Beatrice?
Because we're good.
No, I know what your feeling is. I want to hear that.
We're going to go with Rich's response.
Yep.
Yeah, it's one thing was the city has a favorable kind of power contract.
I couldn't hear what you said.
I said
No, I heard what you said. I'm just kidding.
He just wants you to say it again.
Yeah. The city has a favorable power contract.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. So if I can chime in here real quick. So my background is in the energy industry, and regarding this project, sensitivity to the cost of energy it's very important. And the way that Beatrice is set up to where the city owns the power and we're buying from the city, that offers more flexibility. And we've worked with Tobias, we've worked with Rachel, we've gotten to know Pat Feiss a bit, and also worked with John Krajewski from JC Energy Consulting. And it's the perfect thing that whenever you put it in the blender, it gives the kind of flexibility and contract flexibility that we're looking for with that. Because without me getting too into the weeds, there's mutual benefits here, and we've been treated very well here at Beatrice, and we've looked in an awful lot of places, so it's been great.
It's good to know. Thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks, you guys, for putting that together.
Are either of you guys going to move down here and to run the plant, or?
yeah, I will.
You
At
will?
least I will, and we'll have to hire.
Coming out of New York, you're gonna love it here, pal.
Yeah, we actually, our site is in upstate New York, so it's not much different from Nebraska. We got corn farms and dairy farms and such.
I was in New York once. I don't have.
Well, thank you. A couple of things. Thank you for choosing Beatrice.
Yes.
We're looking forward to having you here. And really, it means a lot to us to have you here tonight. So I know you made a trip, and we totally appreciate that, and so thank you very much.
Absolutely.
Thank you, guys.
Yep, good luck.
Any more discussion needed? If not, your vote, please. And that passes 8-0. Thank you very much. Thank you, Rachel, for all your help.
Welcome.
Okay. Yeah, you might be needed here another time. So, next item on the agenda, resolution number 7159, executing a loan agreement, promissory note, deed of trust, personal guarantee, and any and all documents necessary to issue said loan between the city and Nixon Restaurants and Property Incorporated for an economic development loan totaling $50,000 from funds derived from LB 840 funds as recommended by the Citizens Advisory Review Committee.
I move the resolution number 7159 be passed and adopted.
Second.
First off, let's talk about the loan, and then we'll turn over and let these gentlemen talk about the particular project. So what CARC has recommended to you is a $50,000 loan. Has to do with the redevelopment of the lot that's 6th and Monroe Street. It would be on the northeast corner of 6th and Monroe Street, so just north of McDonald's, just south of KFC. So again, a $50,000 loan. There's no payments due until July 1st of 25. During that time, it's a 1% interest rate. If they get a certificate of occupancy for a 4,000 square foot building done by that July 1st date, then the city will forgive $10,000 that is owed on this loan. If they're still in business and current on their payments in December 1st of 2027, then the city will forgive the remaining balance of it. If you do the math, it ends up being about a $25,000 forgiven, about $25,000 gets repaid if you come down and do the math of it. So with that, I'll turn it over to these guys and let them talk about, and Sam, talk about his particular project and what he's looking to do here.
Yes, it's good to be here in Beatrice. Just a little bit about what Joe and I represent. I am the sole owner of Nixon Restaurant and Property Incorporated. It owns and holds 2 restaurants, one in York, the other one in Seward, as you can see those there on the picture. Also, Nixon Enterprise is the newly formed company that will hold the real estate. So Nixon Restaurant and Property will lease from Nixon Enterprise. And just to give you a little bit of background about Joe's involvement here, 2 out of 3 of these restaurants, Joe contracted and did the reconstruction on some of these existing buildings. Our most recent project was in 2023. Just to give you a little bit of how action-orientated we are. January 2021, I opened up York, Jimmy John's. March 1 of 2022, Joe came on board, contracted, and we opened up Seward Jimmy John's, and then Joe come back on board again and contracted the revitalization for what was a very blighted property. If you can take a look at the top right-hand corner there of what this old bank looked like to what it is today is on the left and on the bottom right, and that was in March 15th of this last year. I'm coming here today to talk to you in another state of action, and this LB 840 really helps our entrepreneur endeavors get off to a great start. And so likewise with the gentleman before, so far we've got to know some of you, and we've had a resounding welcoming. Moving forward, currently the lot looks like this, and we have no architect in place now. We're still going through some just initial chicken scratches to figure out exactly how things will be laid out, but we're doing our due diligence, and we're looking at some rendering that will look something like this. And as we continue to move forward, here's some just some real pictures of what we're proposing. This is a current restaurant that another company of mine owns and operates in. Very similar, and a project that I had done before. And this is how it looks today. So you kind of get the general feel for what the project could entail. We're proposing 3 suites, and the reason why we initially were excited about 5,000 plus square foot, but then when we actually looked at occupancy and parking and a drive-through that comes from the southeast and wraps around towards the northwest, we really couldn't sacrifice the parking, so we kind of downsized a little bit, and we're looking at more of a 4 to 4,200 square foot building, and with a drive-through that kind of wraps around there. Initially, Jimmy John's would be on the north end of the building and control the drive-through, and it would be one of the higher leased restaurants in this development, with offering a middle space and another end space for a potential business. So that's basically it in a nutshell, and any questions, can definitely answer any of those that you might have.
Sam, I just got a couple. I think it's probably important to the community. You kind of talk about a time frame here, and maybe the number of employees you're looking at?
Yeah, so like I said, Joe and I are very motivated towards inaction and making sure that the investment starts to pay itself back. And so a time frame, and with the courtesy of the city, the July 1st of 2025 is gracious. And we would like to see the doors open for the restaurant in anywhere from January to March, Q1 of 2025 is what our goal would be. So we'll take a look at costs, and we'll put together a financing package, and my construction expert over here, Joe, can help me with the subcontracting and architect and everything involved there, which is rather challenging in this current business moment. Along with that, I would say that we would probably hire just in the restaurant alone initially 30, I would say, and then to keep more than 20 on staff is what I'm projecting. So I will be creating one general manager position, which would probably be north of $65,000 a year. That person would move to the community, or I could hire within the community. But I do have candidates in my organization now who are looking to move and take on this opportunity. An assistant manager would be of the higher tier as well, $45,000 to $55,000 a year. They probably would move to the immediate area or be promoted within. And then we have other jobs as well, shift managers, delivery drivers, and in-shoppers.
I just want you to know I appreciate all the dealings that we had together. Everything was completely above board, and I appreciated that from you, and I wish you the
It's
best.
been a pleasure working with you. You guys have any questions about construction?
I kind of got turned around. The storefronts are going to face to the west,
Correct.
to the highway. Okay. Okay.
Correct. And then entering into the building, Joe can kind of give you a little bit of a rundown of how the layout will be.
Yeah, we looked at all the different options and, you know, traffic flows and how to get the drive-through to flow well, provide sufficient parking, and then get as much square footage of building as possible. So we ran a bunch of different options, and where we kind of arrived at was keeping the entrance off of Highway 77, and it's kind of further to the north, closer to the KFC. That would remain, and then the exit would be onto the alleyway similar to the KFC, just to maintain that curbside. And there's also a turn lane on Monroe that would be, there's an existing entrance or exit there now that just doesn't work with that turn lane to go north on 77. So we looked at a lot of different options. It's a great spot for a property, but it's that also throws some curveballs with getting it all to kind of corkscrew in, and then working with the city building inspector on, you know, what are you going to require for the parking stalls versus occupancies, and making sure that we're, you know, abiding by all his rules as well.
Any other discussion?
And to kind of give you an idea of what we're looking at doing is 4,200 square foot with 1,500 square foot on the north, 1,500 square foot on the south, and then 1,200 square foot in the middle, with store frontage in front of, what's the traffic count, 14,000, 17,000 cars. I think it creates a hell of an opportunity for any entrepreneur to come in and get off to a great start. I have had some initial interest in leasing, but nothing as of yet for, you know, signing your name.
Gentlemen, thank you so much for choosing Beatrice and for bringing such a quality business to our town. We appreciate it, and we're so glad we can help you.
Yeah, thank you very much.
And thank you for being here tonight, too. I think it always, you know,
Absolutely.
it speaks volumes for both companies to be here and have interest, and we're looking forward to it. And so I know I have somebody in my family who thinks Jimmy Jones hung the moon, so she's extremely happy.
Right.
All right, gentlemen, your vote, please. 8-0. It passes. Thank you very much. You guys have a good night.
Good luck.
Thank you, guys.
Appreciate it.
There is no ordinances this evening. Anyone here for the public forum? Seeing none, we'll move into discussion reports. City Administrator's monthly report.
As always, happy to answer any questions you might have. To update you on a few projects. If you've not been down to the Gage County Trail Depot, that's the trailhead that's just north of Dempster's. The sponge park and detention cell's been done.
Looks great, really does.
Yeah, Mark's guys came in, did a beautiful job. We have a local contractor that helps out a lot with that project as well. Thanks to the NRD for their contribution to it as well. But it's now completed, and so hopefully you can show that of how to handle those types of projects for other contractors throughout the community. I know we keep talking about the new landfill, but we did submit a permit last week on the new landfill, so that project is moving forward. I anticipate a task order in early 2024 coming back to the Boswell Board for approval as we kind of work on design work and those types of things. So it is moving forward. And then 33rd and Link is another project we get asked about a lot. We have 30% plans right now, and we're meeting with JEO here shortly to go over those plans and start to have that design kind of get furthered out with more details as it comes soon. Other than that, any other questions anybody has?
Seeing none, thank you, Tobias. Item 8 is actually an executive session for real estate. So, Mr. McLean, if you would make a motion to take us into executive session.
I move the Beatrice City Council go into closed session at 7:41 PM for the protection of public interest to discuss real estate.
Second.
Your vote, please. We need a vote. Passes 8-0.
No, I haven't. Until tonight, I hadn't heard that.